Sometimes, helping everyone is the quietest way to destroy yourself. There's something no one tells you when you decide to be a good person, and it's that the world doesn't always repay you with gratitude. Sometimes, the more you give, the less they value you. The more you give in, the more they demand. And the more you help, the more you drain yourself. We live in a time where constant sacrifice is applauded. Limitless giving is romanticized. But no one tells you that even an ocean can dry up if it's drained more than it's replenished. This audiobook is not an invitation to become indifferent. It's an urgent warning, so that you don't empty yourself helping those who never think of refilling you. Each chapter will show you how to identify those people who, without you realizing it, are eroding your energy, your time, and your peace. You'll learn to set boundaries without guilt, to say no without fear, and to protect your energy as the most valuable resource you possess. It's not about hardening your heart, but about sharpening your discernment. If you've ever felt exhausted, confused, or emotionally drained by someone, this message is for you. Chapter 1. The addiction to being useful. Being useful can feel good. Hearing a "thank you," "I don't know what I'd do without you," is like a small dose of emotional validation. But what happens when that need to be useful turns into a silent addiction? What happens when you do more for others than you do for yourself? And what if that thank you long for never comes? Many fall into the trap of being indispensable at work, in their family, in their social circle, and slowly become emotional slaves, like that employee who never says no, who works extra hours, who fixes everyone's mistakes, and still never gets promoted. Because being indispensable doesn't always mean being valued. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus taught that one must act with virtue, but without expecting reward. Because if your well-being depends on someone else's reaction, you've lost control of yourself. Imagine a well, deep and filled with clear water. Now imagine everyone coming to draw water, but no one returns to refill it. Do you know what happens to that well? Eventually, it dries up. That's you. If you help everyone without awareness, if you give constantly without measure, if you forget yourself in the name of serving others. And the most dangerous part is that the world won't stop you, because the world benefits from your continued giving. That's why this first step is to recognize that your desire to help may be poisoned by your need to feel accepted. If you only help because you're afraid of being rejected, if you only serve because you don't know who you are without serving, then you're not helping. You're consuming yourself. From now on, every time you're about to say yes, ask yourself, does this act build me or drain me? Do I help by choice or out of fear? Am I doing it out of kindness or out of habit? Because the first act of true love is toward yourself. And if this hurts, it's probably because you need it. Get ready, because in the next chapter, you'll discover those who drain you the most and how to recognize them before they steal your peace. Chapter 2. The Silent Thieves of Energy. They don't always come with bad intentions. Sometimes, they don't even know they're doing it, but their effect on you is devastating. These people don't yell at you. They don't insult you. They're not obvious enemies. They're more dangerous than that, because they disguise themselves as friends, as family, as people who just need one more favor. There are those who only seek you out when they're down, and disappear when you need support. Others turn every conversation into an endless complaint, and drag you emotionally into the pit where they live. The Stoics taught that one should guard the soul like a temple, and not let just anyone in with dirty feet. And yet, you open the door to them, day after day, and hoping they'll change, hoping that one day they'll give back what they never have. Today's psychologists call them emotional vampires. But the Stoics simply avoided them. Because you don't have to be cruel to create distance. You don't have to explain your withdrawal or justify your exhaustion if someone leaves you drained every time you speak with them. If after helping someone you feel empty instead of at peace, that person is not receiving help. They are draining you like a background app that consumes your battery, invisible, constant, silent. That's how they act in your mind. And you feel it. You've felt it more than once. That sensation of being exhausted, without knowing why, of being full of noise, without having said a word. Remember that person who always talks about their problems, but never asks how you are? The one who says, "I need you," but is never there when you need them? There's your energy thief. It's not malice, it's a form of selfishness, one that disguises itself as constant need. The ancients knew that your mental energy is a sacred resource, and you shouldn't leave it in the hands of those who don't know how to value it. Stop giving your time to those who waste it. Stop investing your energy where there is only debt, because every minute you lose there is a minute you're not investing in building yourself. And if it hurts to walk away, remember those who truly value you don't drain you. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about one of the most important boundaries you can learn to set, one that will mark the difference between being strong and being used. Chapter 3. Boundaries, the invisible barrier that protects your soul. You don't have to raise your voice or become a cold person to set a clear boundary. A healthy boundary is not a stone wall. It's an invisible line, but firm, that separates your peace from the problems that aren't yours to solve. Many believe that helping means giving yourself unconditionally, but that's not help. That's misdirected sacrifice. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Let not another man's soul rule your own." And that phrase contains a brutal truth. Because if you don't set your own boundaries, the world will set them for you, with exhaustion, with resentment, with frustration. Setting a boundary is not saying no, it's saying, this is who I am, and this is who I'm not. This I accept, and this I won't tolerate. This is my energy, and I don't give it to just anyone. The story of Epictetus teaches us that true freedom is born when we stop acting out of fear. He was a slave, but his mind never was, because he knew how to say no when needed, and to say yes only when he truly meant it. Today, boundaries have another face. Saying, "I can't talk right now," without guilt. Ending a conversation when it turns toxic. Not going to places where you know your energy will be devoured. And no, you don't need to justify everything. You weren't born to always be available, nor to heal those who refuse to change. A very current example is social media. Think of how many times you felt you had to reply to a message immediately, just to not look bad, as if your time was no longer yours. That too is a lack of boundaries. In a world where everyone pushes you to say yes, being able to say no is an act of power. So start drawing that invisible barrier with actions, with silence, with firm decisions. Because there is no true peace without real boundaries. In the next chapter, we'll explore one of the most common deceptions, the illusion of the Savior, and how that role takes more from you than it gives. Chapter 4. You are not the Savior. The invisible cost of carrying everyone. There's a silent trap in trying to save everyone. A trap disguised as nobility that slowly locks you into an emotional prison. Being helpful is valuable. But becoming the savior of the world is the fastest path to fatigue, disappointment, and forgetting yourself. Think about this when someone is drowning in their emotions, and you jump in without knowing how to swim. Who ends up sinking first? Sometimes, in wanting to be light for others, we extinguish our own flame. Seneca said we should not carry the misfortunes of others as if they were our own. Because if we do, we become emotional slaves. And even today, that advice still resonates. How many times have you felt guilty for not being able to help someone, or for putting your priorities before everyone else's? The world is full of people who extend their hand, but not to rise with you, rather to drag you down with them. Think about it clearly. How many times have you helped someone, only to watch them fall again, over and over, into the same mistakes? And how many times have you poured your energy, your time, your resources into someone who didn't even want to change? That's not help. That's drain. There's a very clear modern example. People who try to save relationships that are broken at the root, who give everything for someone who doesn't even reply to a message with interest, who believe that if they just give more, the other person will finally change. That's not love. It's self-abandonment. You are not here to save anyone. You are here to share from your fullness. Not to hand over your pieces to someone who doesn't know how to care for them. Help when you see willingness, when you see real intention to change, when the other person is also walking, not just waiting for you to carry them. And if that hurts, if it's hard to accept that you can't save everyone, remember this Stoic truth. You cannot control others. You can only control how you respond. In the next chapter, you'll understand why some people not only don't want your help, but use it against you. I'll tell you about emotional vampires and how to recognize them before they drain everything you are. Chapter 5. Against emotional vampires. Protect yourself without feeling guilty. Emotional vampires don't have fangs, but they suck something far more valuable than blood. Your energy, your time, your inner balance. They don't appear in the dark. They could be your lifelong friend, a family member, your partner, even someone you helped from the heart. And how do they act? They make you feel responsible for their unhappiness. They manipulate you with guilt. They flatter you only when they need something, and punish you with silence or disdain when you don't please them. Sometimes, they don't even do it consciously. But the result is the same. You get drained. While they recharge. Epictetus said, "Choose your companions as you choose the wine you will drink, because what you allow into your soul can heal you or poison you." And today, we see it every day. That friend who only shows up when they have a problem. That person who calls to tell you their dramas, but never listens when you speak. That partner who demands constant attention, but vanishes when you need support. These people don't want to grow. They want you to sink with them. Because if you shine, it bothers them. And if you step away, they play the victim. But you're not here to be anyone's emotional therapist, nor the constant source of validation for broken people who don't want to heal. You're here to live your process with strength, with awareness, and with boundaries. Saying no is also a form of love. Self-love. And no, you don't always have to explain yourself, nor justify why you're stepping away. Your peace needs no permission. Just as you protect your body from toxins, you must also protect your mind and spirit from those who feed on your empathy. In the next chapter, we'll talk about something even more important: how to learn to say no without feeling guilty, and why that no is sometimes the most compassionate act you can have with yourself. Chapter 6. The Art of Saying No, the Invisible Shield of the Wise Man. Saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you conscious. No is a statement of boundaries, an invisible border that protects your energy, your time, your path. But for many of us, it's difficult, because we grew up with the idea that saying no is to hurt, to reject, to close doors. We were taught to be accommodating, to put others' needs above our own, to be good people, even when that destroyed us from within. However, the Stoics were clear. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by subjects and flatterers, knew he couldn't say yes to every request, not because he was cruel, but because he understood that every decision had to align with his mission and not with others' approval. Every yes you give is time, energy, presence that you can no longer give to something else. That's why every time you say yes out of guilt, you say no to your own well-being, to your goals, to your clarity. In modern life, this shows up at work, when you take on extra tasks to avoid looking bad. In emotional life, when you stay in a toxic relationship not to hurt the other. In family life, when you tolerate abuse disguised as tradition or custom. Saying no is not rejecting the other, it's embracing yourself. And to do it firmly, you don't need to raise your voice. You just need to raise your awareness. Learn to say, "I can't help you with that right now. It's not good for me. I'm not available," without justifying, without arguing, without feeling guilty. Because someone who truly cares about you won't be offended by your self-care. Saying no is an act of respect, of maturity, of balance. And if someone can't accept your boundaries, it's because they never really cared about you. They only cared about what you gave them. In the next chapter, we'll explore why helping without discernment can become an addiction, and how many times, behind the "I help everyone," lies the need for approval and the deep fear of feeling invisible. Chapter 7. The Unconscious Savior. When helping becomes an addiction, there is a silent trap that many people fall into without realizing it. The need to help everyone, not out of generosity, but out of fear. From a deep wound that screams from within, "If I'm not useful, I'm worthless." This impulse, seemingly noble, often hides a desperate search for approval, a disguised form of emotional dependency, an addiction to the savior role. The problem is not helping, but feeling that without doing it, you lose your worth. Have you noticed how some people can't be at peace unless they're solving others' problems? They're always available, always willing, but inside, exhausted, broken, resentful. And the most painful part is that many times the other person doesn't even appreciate it, doesn't change, doesn't improve. Epictetus said it bluntly. Don't worry about things that are not up to you. And among those things is the transformation of others. You are not responsible for healing the whole world. You didn't come into this world to put out everyone else's emotional fires, while yours burns silently. Nowadays, this addiction shows up in toxic relationships where one gives and gives, hoping the other will finally wake up, change, respond. But that almost never happens, because the other person didn't ask for help, and you didn't set boundaries. It also shows up in workers who burn themselves out completely, who do the work of 3 people, because they don't know how to say no, and disguise it as vocation. You see it in one-sided friendships, in relatives who take advantage of the one who always says yes, in parents who carry guilt for not giving it all. Helping is beautiful when it comes from abundance and not from lack, when it is born from love, not from the need to be loved. That's why, if you recognize that you've become a chronic savior, pause. Ask yourself, who am I really trying to save? Them, or a part of me that feels it only deserves to be seen this way. Stopping the need to help everyone is not coldness, it's wisdom. It's recognizing that your energy is limited, and when you give it away unconsciously, you end up empty, hoping that someone will return what you took from yourself. In the final chapter, I'll reveal how the true balance between helping and protecting yourself leads you to a more serene, powerful, and deeply free life. Chapter 8. The Art of Helping Without Losing Yourself. How to be light without burning out. Helping is not a crime. It's a gift. But like every gift, it must be used wisely. The difference between being a guiding lighthouse and a candle that burns out lies in balance. The lighthouse lights the way without moving from its place. It doesn't run to rescue every ship. It doesn't jump into the sea with every storm. It simply is, and with its firm presence, it points the way. That's how you should be. A stable presence, not an automatic response to every call. The problem is that many people have confused helping with sacrifice, as if helping must involve suffering, as if to be good, they must forget themselves. But true Stoicism doesn't teach you to disappear for others. It teaches you to remain whole, to act from your center, from your virtue, not from guilt. Helping out of guilt is a disguised transaction. It's expecting something in return, even if that something is just feeling useful or loved. The Stoic man helps, but doesn't lose himself. He gives, but doesn't empty himself. In real life, this means setting boundaries even when it hurts. Saying, "I can't right now," even if your instinct is to run and fix everything. It also means letting others face their consequences, even if that activates your urge to rescue them. It's not easy, but it's necessary. And when you achieve that balance, when you learn to be light without burning out, something changes deeply. Your help becomes more valuable, your presence more respected, and you more free. Because in the end, true help doesn't enslave, it empowers. And you did not come into this world to put out other people's fires while your own house burns. You came to build yourself, to take care of yourself, to grow, and from there, from your fullness, be a lighthouse for others, without ceasing to be home for yourself. This was just the beginning. If you're here, it's because there is a call within you to protect your energy, to choose yourself, and to help from wisdom, not from the wound. If this message resonated with you, get ready for the upcoming audiobooks. Each one will be a compass, a push, and a shield, because protecting yourself is also a form of love, and building yourself is the highest form of help.